Hi guys, hope you're well. This is a follow-on from when I did my little brooches with the textured patterning that I was doing for a commission. She also asked if I could make something that was more male orientated. So I was going to tag this onto the end of my other video, and then I realised how long the other video was, so this is why I've kind of done it this way. I've got the same sort of scraps as before. I'm using scrap guys because of course it's just a test, but you could still use your scraps because you could cover them in mica and varnish them. Nobody would ever know that it's scrap clay underneath. So I'm going to do a silver and a copper. As before, I've got the copper mica powder. I've got the antique silver mica powder. I'm only using one colour each on these guys. And I've got my black mica powder. I've got a couple of pieces here just to the side that we're going to make a tube bail to go with these, and I'm going to use this texture plate. You've probably seen the whole video, but if you haven't, go back a few videos. I'm not too sure when this one will go live, to be honest guys, so it may have been last Wednesday by when you've seen this. A week may have passed since the initial metallic effects video, so I'm going to use this anyway, this lovely texture plate by Happy Hands. There's a link in my description to the shop. I've also dug out just a few little bits of tools, one of Happy Hands push posts, just a couple of clay tools, a ball tool. I've got my little scritchy scratcher tool, and I've just grabbed my smallest little metal cutter just because we're going to be putting a bit of texture in by hand. And I've also got this shield shape which I'm actually going to straighten off so it's more of a triangle, but I'll use this as the basis of my shape, and we're just going to get going guys. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to initially put black on. I just do as I do and tap a little bit into my lid, then it doesn't get everywhere. And I've just got a couple of watercolour mop brushes here. They're great for putting mica on, and this is one that I've actually trimmed flat so that I can stipple with it, but it's it'll still work. And I'm just going to apply some of this black to this one. And I'm not worried that my brush is putting a bit of texture in it or anything. It'll add rather than take away, if that makes sense. I'm just going to swirl that black in on that one. And I'll swirl some black in on this one. And I know this seems quite drastic guys on this pendant, but all will become clear when we start doing more to it. And it doesn't matter, again, as I said in the other video, it doesn't matter how much you put on, how little you put on, because we want it to look kind of old, don't we? So I'll do the copper first. I'm just going to get a little bit of copper on this back piece, and again just sprinkle a little bit on. Ooh, blend it in with the black. just make sure that it's blended in, and we've got spits and spots of colour for that aged look. And I'll just dab that copper off on a dry bit of tissue, and I'll do silver on this one. And again, oh, got a bit of fluff. Thanks, Doris. Doris was in and out all day yesterday, driving me mad, she is. Oh, put a bit too much on there, to be fair, guys. I'm just gonna go through with that black brush and break that up a bit. Still got a bit of black on here, so it's knocking it back a bit, if you can see. Just put a tiny bit more on. So it's more of a hematite colour with the black, isn't it? Okay, so we've got our silver and our copper base done. I'll just put the lid on my black, then I don't get it by accident. Let's move those two out the way. And now I'm just going to push my texture into these two pieces. And I think I said this in the haul video, but especially with my hands, these stiffer ones are really good for me personally, because I don't need to get an extra plate to press down. I think I've pressed that enough. Let's have a look. Yeah, perfect. Look at that now. Totally amazing. Right, I'll just give this a clean off, guys, where I've got mica on it. Oh, now I've got fluff on it because of the tissue falling to pieces. Let me just get my stiff brush and get that fluff out of the bits. I don't know how I did that. Note to self, don't clean with a wet wipe or you get bits everywhere. Oh, I've got a bit stuck right in. What am I like? Sorry guys. Queen of faff as usual. Got you. I just want to get those bits of fluff out, then they don't stick on my clay. There we go, that's better. And now I'm going to do the same on this one. Just a nice firm press all over. Oh, sounds like there's a helicopter or something going over. Don't know what's going on. Somebody mentioned the other day actually in a comment, you know, about living in the city, and I don't live in the city. Definitely we're not in the countryside, but we're surrounded by countryside. It's reasonably urban where I live, but surrounded by greenery. I think the noise they were referring to was somebody mowing the lawn. Anyway, shut up, Kath. Okay, so here's the copper, here's the silver. I might just get my other silver out, you know, because it's quite dark, that, isn't it? Just give it a bit of a touch with it. Happy with the copper. Might have to touch the silver up. Right, so all we're going to do now, guys, is shall I, shan't I? Yeah, I'll cut the shape out first, then I can go around the edge with some mica. So I'm just going to line it up where I think a nice pattern will be. Slight wiggle, take up that excess. And do you know, I was going to trim these off straight, but I may just trim that top edge straight and keep that curve. It looks quite nice, doesn't it? And I'll go in and do this one. I'll do it at a different sort of angle than the different. There we go. So that's those two. I shall just go around with my brush and get a bit of mica on that edge, just so that it all matches in. And I am going to take that edge straight, I think. No, I'm not. I'm going to leave it. I think it'll add rather than take away if I leave that. Let me just make sure that brush is clean. Get a bit of copper and just go around the edge of this one. And again, I've said this many times, guys, and I never want you to feel like, you know, I'm a broken record with these things, but just certain little things you do, these little finishing touches that you do, can make a really big difference when you are selling your stuff. You know, clean edges, you know, things like, you know, you get me, don't you? I'm not going to go on about it. Just make sure things stand out a little bit more than other people's if you just take a bit of pride and a bit of patience. Let's think, what do I want to do? I'm going to pick these up, guys, and just get them out of the way a second, just while I clean this mica up. I know I'm going to be using some more mica, but that work surface being grubby is annoying me. So what we're going to do with these is we're going to put some texture in these little gaps, doing whatever you wish. The world's your oyster again, guys. Let me just move you up so I know that you're central. I think I knocked my camera earlier and it's not quite right because I can see the light there and you can't normally see it. Okay, so I've just got my little wire scrapey tool and I'm just gonna put some dots onto this bit here, and I think I'll do some, the only thing with this is it's splayed, so I don't want to damage other parts of the clay. I'll put some in here like so, and let's do some on this bit here. And maybe some into this bit here. So that's that bit. Then I'm just going to use the edge of my little circle cutter, and I'm just going to use the edge and just kind of make crescent shapes up this bar in the centre. Just gentle, nothing drastic. Maybe go back and put a couple more in where there's a gap, and that worked well there, so I think I'll do it again here. And of course you could, guys, you could add little balls of clay into it, little slithers of other things, you know. Again, the world's your oyster. I'm just showing you how to do some simple texture. I think I'll get my little ball tool now in this one and do like a hammered effect. And I'm not going right to the edge. I'm just kind of filling in a similar shape but in the middle. so we've got a little bit of a hammered effect going on in that triangle, and maybe I'll do it in this little piece here too. Like so. And what can we do it on this one? I think I'll do it here. I do find, I've said this before, haven't I, but I find this so therapeutic. Doing this, it's just one of those, it's like doing Mandela dotting, isn't it? It's just, you go into Zen mode. Okay, and maybe I'll do this one here. What else have we got? I've got this tool that's kind of a pencil shaped, so when you dot with it, I think I'm going to get like a hexagon. Oh, it's a little cross actually. Do a few of them. Just a bit of different texture, guys. And I am going to leave some blank. I'll do this little bit here. I think I'll just do some circles. On that bit there. And maybe this bit here. Again, a different texture. Okay, those are nice and clean. Just make sure those edges are clean. And I'm just going to pick these up. Oh no, I'm not. I'm going to put some different highlights on. So on the copper one, I'm just going to get a little bit on my finger, tap excess off, then I don't sprinkle it everywhere. And I'm just going to highlight those raised portions. Like so. Just get a little bit more on that bit there, it's dipped, so. Okay, so there's our silver, copper, and I'll get a bit of silver. Now I may grab my other silver for this, guys, because this is like an antique silver, and I'm not sure if it'll highlight as much as I want it to. Yeah, maybe not. I'll just get what's off on my finger off. And I will, in fact, I'm going to cheat. This is confetti white, but it does go quite silver when it's baked, so I'm just going to pop a bit of that on to highlight those pieces. Because at the end of the day, that's all we need is a highlight, and I think that will work perfectly. Great. Okay, so now the bales. Now I think I will do a pea bail, guys. Makes it a bit simpler. So let's just have a little clean up. Grab a scrap of paper. I'll just put these on a piece of paper. We're going to make our bails and part bake and stick them on. You've seen me do this loads of times, but I will do it with these. Just so you can see what I'm doing. So we've got our pendants done, and I'll just go and condition these little scraps to get myself a strip of these two colours to make two pea bails. Can't even speak. And I'll be back in a sec, guys. Okay guys, we've got our scraps for the bails, and as with the pendants, I'll just bring them into shot. As with the pendants, we want to colour the bails, don't we? So where's my little type? There it is. I'll just obviously, in fact, let me cut these, then I'm not doing too much. I want them too narrow, so I'll just trim this off, guys. So that I'm not doing too much. Don't want to be wasteful, do we? Can always trim them again later if they're not quite right, but I'll just trim these pieces down. Okay, bit of black. Now bear in mind, we're going to switch this over in a second. This is going to be the back, or the outside, if that makes more sense to you. And I'm just putting a little bit of black on this one. And I'm not, again, worrying about marks with my brush, because we are going to texture this. Let's do the copper. Oh, picked way too much up there, sorry. Let me just back that off. Just use my black one again to put a bit of silver on. Just get that excess black off. Bit of this antique silver on. And give that a swirl. Let's keep them brushes there. Okay, now we want to put some texture on this. Obviously we've got a textured pendant, it'll look a bit daft plain. So I'm just going to use my little wire scrapey tool. And I'm just going to drag across, and you will get a few little bobbles, guys. You can just go in with your brush in a minute and wipe those bobbles off. But I'm just putting that little bit of texture. Just get a different brush. Just wipe them clear bobbles off. Make sure the end of my brush is clean, and I'll do the same on the copper. probably a bit of overkill on the copper one. I've gone a bit deep, but we shan't worry about it. And again, just gonna get rid of those weird bobbles of clay that I'm not keen on. I'll just go in with this copper and just give that a little bit of a brush over again where I may have scraped a bit of mica off. There we go. Okay, so we need some rods to roll these around. Now I don't want them to be too thick, just enough for a cord to pass through. So I'm thinking maybe I'll roll it on a skewer, because that's thick enough for a reasonable cord to pass through. So I'm gonna just pick this up and flip it, and now I'm gonna sort my shape out. If I can find my blade, there it is, right in front of me. Okay, so I'm just gonna line it up with a line that's on my desk, like so, and then I'll just tidy this up so that I know it's nice and straight. Get my skewer, get this to roll over and join that clay. We can tidy that up in a second, guys. I'll just take my skewer out, just get them edges rounded nice and bonnet. That's stuck down to that other bit of clay now. I'm just going to smooth that edge with my nail where the join is, make sure it's nice and bonny. Then I think what I'll do is, using this cutter, I'm just going to pop a little V on the back with it so it matches the shield shape. Oh, just pop it down while I clean that edge so it's nice and sharp. And I'm just going to pick up this excess mica and just rub some over that edge, just to get it micaed up so that it matches the rest of the pendant on the edges. Now I could put this on now, guys, I suppose, because this silver clay is very firm. Let's have a see. Actually, I think I'll do it later. I think I'll bake the bale separately. It needs to have a bit of a curve on. But I think I'll bake it separately. I can always add a little bit of mica. Let me just have a look. Oh, bit of cat fluff again. This is going to sit here, like so. But it will need a bit of a curve on it. So let's just press it against my mould and make sure that it has that little bit of a curve. There we go. So that one's okay. My holes are okay. Let me just check. I'll just pop my skewer in. It's still got my little curve. I'll pop that one with that one. No, same with this one. Let's turn it over. Now probably that one's pretty straight. Fancy that. Again, I'll just get this little skewer and roll that over. Now this clay is quite sticky, so I'm worried about deforming it. Just soften that edge where it joins, and again I'll go in with my cutter and just cut that little V tag to make it nice and pretty. And again guys, these are samples. I haven't done anything to the back of those. I would probably have put a texture on, or maybe go over with some mica, or you know, something to make it match. I'm not going to bother doing that with these samples. Or should I? Maybe I should just do it on one and show you what I would do. Okay, I'll just dab a bit of copper mica on these edges, just to make sure it's nice and bonny. Again, just using my cutter, I'll just pop it against it and try and get that bit of a curve shape, like so. I think that'll be okay. Right, what I'll do with the black one, it'll be easy with the black. I'm just gonna pick this up. Got a few little crumbs there that I couldn't see. And I'll just texture the back. Now, this is what I would probably do if I wasn't dragging if I wasn't putting another back on the back, you know, another textured piece of clay, which would be generally what I would do, to be fair guys. But I'll just drag this across and give the back a bit of a texture. It's catching. Try and break those little crummy bits up. Just get a bit of texture on there. Clean those crumbs off. And where is it? I've lost my other brush. There it is. And I'll just pick a bit of black mica up and rub that across the back. So that's just a simple thing you could do, guys. Like I say, I would normally roll a thin piece and just add the back separately. But there's an idea for you finishing your backs if it's a bit messy and you don't want to add another piece. So there's our little bits. Now you could have just rolled a tube on there, guys, and put a tube on. But doing this little P tag works a treat as well. It gives a bit more security, I suppose, and adds a little bit of weight to your pendants. Right, I'll go and get these baked, guys, and I'll see you. Oh, that hole's got a bit squished. There we go. I'll go and get these baked, and we'll come back and string them up. No, we won't. I'll put them in for about 15 minutes, then I will pop the backs on with a little bit of liquid clay, finish the baking, and we'll come back and string them up. So I'll see you in a sec. Hi guys, okay, so we're baked. I'll just show you them close up so you can see. There's the copper. I didn't do the back on that one, did I? There's the aged silver with just that little bit of patterning on the back. Again guys, it's a bit rough. I was just kind of quickly showing you something, wasn't I? I'd be more inclined to I've just put a textured piece on the back before I baked it, as I do with most of my pendants. And here's my little bales that I made. I did sand this edge a little bit because it was just sticking out. There was a bit of a sharp bit, but you can see they look cool. They match really nicely. Do you know, Doris fluff everywhere. They match really nicely, and once I've glued this on, I'll just tap a tiny bit of liquid clay there and just touch up with, I've sanded the mica off, so I'm just using a bit of K-Tool clear liquid clay to stick these on with, because it's on my desk, guys, no other reason. And I'll just what I did was get my nail file and just rub over that, because there was a bit of a mica thumbprint on it. So I'm just gonna, oh, where's my wet wipe gone? I do my best to be tidy, guys, and sometimes it doesn't work. I'm just going to get my little silicone tool. I'm just gonna make sure that that liquid clay is right up into that little gap, just so that when it touches the top of the pendant, it's a bit of an added bond, isn't it? And I really don't think this is going to go anywhere, guys. I use tube type bails all the time, as you know. I'm not a big fan of the pinch bails, to be fair. I think they take, you know, my personal opinion, of course, guys, but sometimes it takes away from your design, I think, rather than add to it. But again, that's my personal opinion. We're all different, we all do different things. That's what makes us all wonderful. I just thought I'd add that as a disclaimer before anybody moans. Each to their own. So again, it's getting a reasonable amount of liquid clay on there, and of course it's clear, guys, so you're not going to see it. And just nudging it, sorry, just nudging it a little bit up the bail so that it makes contact with the top as well. And I'll just make sure that's central, give it a bit of a push, and again, perfect. Now this one isn't too bad. I'll just clean up those edges where it's oozed a little bit with my silicone tool, make sure it's straight. I'm happy with that one, plenty of mica on it, it looks nice. This one, however, where I sanded it, of course I've got the clay showing through, haven't I? So I'm just going to pick the tiniest amount of liquid clay up and just dab it on those edges, just to give the mica something to stick to. And I'm just gonna, just got a bit of liquid clay oozing, I just want to scrape that up. Again, they're only samples, guys, doesn't really matter, does it? But you know, standards and all that. And I'll just get a bit of copper on my finger and just dab it on that edge, but just to make sure that that bail has got a bit of mica on the corner. I may just brush a little bit over the top to brighten it a little. It'll probably bat off, to be fair, guys, when I varnish it, but the liquid clay will help. And I will now pop these back in to re-bake, or finish baking as I should say, so that the bails are nice and strong. And then we'll pop back and I'll probably just give them a quick varnish with my Cernit varnish. Maybe do one matte and one glossy so you can see the difference. So I'll see you in a sec, guys. See you in a minute. Hi guys, we're all done. Don't they look lovely? Dead simple but effective. That's a copper one, which I think again is my favourite, but I am very drawn to copper. Of course that back isn't finished, they're just samples. I am going to varnish them guys with just some matte Cernit and just a fine brush, but of course I won't be able to touch them because they'll be sticky. So I just thought what I would do is I'll just show you them on a card. Oh, I've not melted the ends of my cord, bear with me. It just stops that fraying, doesn't it? So that's all I would do, is just put them on a simple, this is actually just a coated cotton cord, but that's all I would do with them. But what I thought I would do is just show you how to do a quick sliding knot. A white background would possibly be better, Kath. Let me grab a piece of paper. Okay, sorry guys, it's not very conducive. I love this black mat, but it's not conducive to showing you, is it? Right, so we've got our pendant, we've got it on a cord. I've cut I'll just measure it for you. I've cut 30 inches of cord. That is more than enough. You need it to be able to get over your head, don't you? Right, so what we're going to do a sliding knot is we're going to lay our ends like this, slightly lapping each other. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this, no, I'll start with this one actually guys, it's easier for me to do it that way. You're going to take your end, you're going to loop it back on itself like so, and then you're going to come under both your cords. Hang on, I've not got enough. Right, loop, sorry guys, loop it back on itself, come under both your cords and go through your loop. You can pull that a little bit smaller now if you like, because you need a bit on this end. Then keeping that out the way where you've just gone under, you're going to loop through twice more. 1, 2, like so. So it'll look like you've got 3 spins on your double cord, and then you're just going to pull with those fingers and tighten that knot. Now I'm using coated cord. Oops, I'm using coated cord, so I can pull it pretty tight and it will still slide. If you're not using a coated cord guys, I'll just show you the knot and you can see. If you're not using a coated cord, then I would suggest you don't pull it too tight, and then I'm just making sure that ends nice, and then I know it'll slide. And then we're just going to do the same on this side. We've got our loose end on the top. We're going to loop back and go under both. Oh, and then pass that loop through, pass the end through the loop we've just made. And as I've said previously, you can now make that a bit smaller if you wish, like so. Oh, come on, I'm trying to catch it with my thumb. So then I just hold that first roll and I pass this through twice again, once, twice, and then I get that to pull pull tight by pulling on the other ends like so, and I just pull that tight and pull that tight, and then I just double check it'll slide. So there we have a pendant on a sliding knot. Now with these ends, of course, again guys, I'm using coated cotton. So it's got a, where's my scissors, it's got a bit of a plastic coating on it. So what I can do is I'll just get that neat. I can flash the end and then I squash it like so into my knot. Trim the end, give it a flash, and then squash it into my knot. Just use the back of my lighter to do that. So there we are, a really nice simple way to finish that off with a nice sliding knot. So there you go guys. I will varnish these and I will take some nice photos, and I'll see you all in the next video. See you later. Bye.